this week we have Shih Hor, right?
Hi.
Shih Hor actually is a recent winner of the Enterprise 50 award.
Yes,
right?
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think today is a good time to actually get Shih Hor to share his experience with us in terms of when you first started?
Started in 1993.
Wow.
Everybody born already, of course.
Yeah.
In fact, those days, I still remember the word technopreneur wasn't coined yet. There wasn't such a word. There's only entrepreneur. And if you talk to VCs, I think they're still VCs. But the first question to ask is, where's your factory? You know, so that, oh, sorry.
Do you have a building?
Yeah, building, factory. Do you have don't talk about a building. I mean, we didn't have an office. It was a shared office. We kind of wanted to follow the idea of garage. Okay, like we Singapore don't have garage. So we work from our own living room and then we meet together at the coffee shop somewhere. I still remember we even do data. Back then again, no internet, nothing. So we actually do link cable. So we have to decide, hey, let's all meet up at this particular sitting bench. Then we, link our computers together. And then you see some uncle coming and wondering, what are you guys all doing? So that was back in 93 days. So as in a way, probably out of no choice as well, we basically started with our own pocket money. So I still remember we said, okay, how much do we have? We are not really that rich. We are researchers in back then it's called ITI, Information Technology Institute. It's part of NCB, National Computer Board, which is then became IDA, now became IMDA, GovTech, all that.
How many partners do you have when you first started off?
Oh, we actually had three guys. So one Angmo guy, British guy, myself, and then another local guy. So three of us started off. But the third person went off to join his friend during the .com days, where you get millions of dollars for selling whatever hamburger online. So he went on with his friends. So left two of us to continue there. So the beginning part of it was, since we were from a research environment, so we thought, why not we call it bootstrap. So we bootstrap our company with what we're good at doing. So we were doing some training, consulting, but we know that we wanted to be a product company. Day one, we wanted to be a product, but who's going to fund us? Nobody's going to do that. In fact, I still remember the amount of money we pulled together was $20,000. And back then, computers are very expensive, right? At least $3,000-4,000 when you buy the peripherals. Practically, first month we bought our computers, get our salary, we still get our salary, and that's it, money gone. After that, we had to, we're going to get our money. So that's literally was kind of bootstrapping environment. So we do our services, we got training, we got consulting going on. But then we are moonlighting at night. Then we say, okay, during our spare time, let's develop a product together. And we are doing what we were doing before in our research lab in the area of software engineering. Basically, if you reel back 20, 30 years, it's software tools, developer tools. How do we improve the productivity, improve the quality of the code? Back then, the problem is it's a lot of spaghetti code. Nobody knows how to maintain after a while. So that was our research area. So naturally, we started doing things that we are good at doing. Hopefully people like it. Not too bad. I still remember there were three anchor customers at the beginning. If not for them, I think we wouldn't have made it. So one group is SCO. Those of you who have heard of it, you're at least 40 years old. So you have heard of it. You heard of it?
No,
you heard of it?
No idea.
Okay, so yeah, at least 40 years old. It's a Systems and Computers Organization, part of the MINDEF group of people. SEO, CSO, so got different names there. So they were the first ones to say, yeah, they got a big team of software programmers. They need to have more structured way of doing development tools to help them. The second group is PSA, Port of Singapore Authority. In fact, last week I just met with one guy. So he said, yeah, he was there at the beginning. He still remember us, fond memory. Same thing, PSA has a huge team of developers. They needed some way to structure the way they do the programming and all that. Third one is actually Citibank. In fact, Citibank was our first local Citibank, but actually they have development in Texas. So in fact, we have to talk to the team over in US, and they became also the first customer of the tool that we were moonlighting developing. So it gave us a foretaste of, hey, it's actually not too bad. A small little group can develop something that Citibank in US is actually using. So that got us quite excited. So, but then we still didn't have the funds to start straight away, develop full-fledged our product. But we went on in doing that for a while. So eventually we launched our product, and by the time we launched it, things kept changing. So that's one first lesson. I guess everybody knows by now that this S curve in IT is real. Meaning you only have 5 years shelf life. Anything you develop. Maybe these days even shorter. Back then, even then, it was 5 years. So every 5 years, we can see a wave came along. So if you cannot develop fast enough, basically by the time you get to the party, it's over. And we went through many rounds of that because bootstrapping. We take our time, slowly develop. Yeah, we see success, we push in, but after that, how come, game over or the new game has started? So for example, what we hit, one of the curve, the kind of S curve going down that we hit was from open source. Because for tools, that was a big thing back then. Open source idea was let's scratch each other's back. You need this tool, I need that tool. We just share, and don't pay anyone any money. So since we were in the tools market, I can tell you that was terrible. But you see, before that, our tools, we actually have 2 products at that time. So one is you can look at it like a CAD CAM for software, right? Before you build a building, you want to draw diagrams, you want to measure this and that, make sure they're all sound before you start laying the bricks and doing the foundation. Same thing with software. You don't straight away write your code, you design it properly. So it's a designer tool, and then it can generate the code for you, you can reverse back, inspect whether it makes sense or not. Very nice and technical. But then the challenge, of course, is targeting straight on the developers. In fact, I would say even the hardcore developers who want to think like a software engineer rather than just hack out the code. So that is a very niche market, and this is the very market that open source was targeting at. In fact, I remember there was one event. Back then, Java was a kind of new programming environment. So we signed on Java 1 conference, almost continued for 10 years. A lot of money spent there. And so there's one time, my co-founder, myself, we were there. And then there's these 2 guys, if you watch those Lord of the Rings type stuff, big jacket and then frizzy, curly hair, hunchback a little bit, walk towards our booth. I was like, ooh, they look like gurus. So I went and straight away approached them. Hey, you want to take a look at our product? We're from Singapore, we have something exciting. Then the first question he asked me is, what is the philosophy of your product? I was like, oops, If you ask me, features, price comparison, whatever, I got it already. Philosophy. I said, let me introduce you to our CTO, my co-founder, this guy who developed it. So I said, okay, he will probably give you a good answer. So, okay, they went on discussing. I watched a little bit from afar. So, they're nodding their heads. Oh, it's not bad. Huh? Then after they went off, I asked my partner, so, hey, how did that go? He said, oh, it went very well. I said, they're impressed? I said, yeah, they're quite impressed. So, okay, so are they going to buy our software? They said, no, they won't buy our software. I said, what do you mean? They are so good that they will write their own. Then that's when then this market is a bit of a problem. We are targeting the very niche kind of high-end, hardcore people, and yet you mean they're not going to, buy our product. And that is actually before open source took off, but that was it's a warning sign that, oops, this market is a challenging market. And in fact, I tell you, we were ranked top 3 by a lot of the magazines, our product. So in fact, by then we introduced a 3rd one as well. So we always consider at least top 5 in the whole world, not bad. Huh? And back then, we got 1,000 downloads per month. Again, that's a very big number back then. Yeah. So but it got me worried. It's something we might be a problem ahead. And sure enough, it became a problem. And in fact, that was one big lesson I've learned. Yes, it's good to do what you're good at doing, but you must also evaluate what you're good at doing is what people are willing to pay. That's hopefully it's exactly the same, but if it's not the same, you better reinvent. So with that, we started thinking about it. So in fact, out of the 3 products, 2 were this hardcore product that the good people, customers can do it themselves. Now the third one is a semi-developer come business tool. In fact, that is our entrance into the analytics market, the BI, business intelligence market. Basically, as a reporting tool, targeting the Java market. It was new. In fact, at that time, there's only one other company doing it. So we quickly developed this tool, and then two or three other companies came in. One got bought out, but still, just a small pool of players. So it was great. And so, in fact, we dropped the first two products, the very technical product. We focused on this one. And the irony of it all, this third product wasn't started by my partner. It was two guys that we hired, put them at Citibank to do some work, and then they came back and said, can you take a break and do some R&D? Because it's quite tough when you are shipped out to another company to do works. So we said, so I was one who said, okay, I think they deserve a little break. Why not guide them a bit, give them a chance to develop a new product? And so I asked them, what do you think we can do? They said, well, from the experience working for Citibank and actually a few other companies, they said, the market needs a reporting tool for Java. Because when you develop a new application, you always need to have some reporting features. These are the days way before open source, Jasper, all this came along. So we said, okay, good, let's develop that. And so in a way, that was a big shift in our philosophy, that not just doing what we are good at doing, we also look at what are people willing to pay, right? So that's when, okay, I told my co-partner, let them try, just guide them, and sure enough, even though these two are very young in a sense, we managed to create a product that the market really wanted at that time. So of course, then we went ahead and dropped the other two, and eventually our CTO totally supported the product. So then I went ahead, and then it was, as I said, okay, now we got a nice S-curve, we were rising, bang, something happened. What happened was all the industry consolidation. I still remember that time, our biggest competitor was Crystal Report. They came into the Java market as well, maybe like 3 years later. They were doing about $200 million US, so we thought, okay, we can take them on. Who knows, after they got acquired by Business Objects, it's $1 billion company now. So we said, okay, we better grow our stack, to compete with Business Objects, because Business Objects got a whole stack. So as we kind of, the reporting market started to kind of slow down because big players start coming into the picture. Open source is at the bottom, coming up, so we kind of start to feel the squeeze there. So we thought, okay, let's grow the stack. So yes, we did. We started developing ETL tools, dashboarding tool, all kinds of BI stack. And by the time we got there, that was 2007. That was the peak of the BI market. In fact, we also got an award at that time. In fact, that year we got 4 awards. And the best of the 4 awards was the Deloitte Technology Award for fastest growing top 500 companies from whole of Asia. So, and when you say technology, it could be even a solar panel company. So it's quite a tough one to be in the list. We made it somewhere in the middle, so not too bad, especially from Singapore. You're fighting against China was growing at the time, Taiwan companies and Korean companies, everybody was there. So we got this wonderful award, excited. I went to collect the award. It was in July, as you remember, in Hong Kong. But that very same month, another cycle started, another S-curve disruption came up. And that's when even bigger players, Business Objects 1 billion, right? They got bought over by SAP. You're like, SAP is bigger. SAP did that, IBM said, they also bought the second player, and then Oracle bought another one. So it's like, suddenly we are faced with the biggest, the giants, and we are still a bit small there. So this is the second lesson, learning how to dance around the giants. Yes, you can fight with them on a certain size, but there is reality. As a market consolidate, what is our plan? You see all this because we're just a few enthusiasts in doing what we're doing. We didn't have a foresight. We didn't have people who can tell us, hey, you better watch out, this field, don't be so happy. Sometimes we need people like that to help us. That's why, earlier I was saying, maybe I can share a lot of things that what should not be done, especially in modern context, right? Even this building here, so many mentors who have been there, done that in their own areas. There are a lot of wisdom we should tap on. Unfortunately, back then, we have to rely on ourselves. So we hit all these things. So sure enough, in fact, when they announced this acquisition by Business Objects bought over BO, and after that, in 4 months, all the market changed. All the big boys came in, and this was so disruptive that customers, actually there were news out there, PI market, all the small players would die, they would disappear. And then all the customers would say, oh, we better wait and see what the big boys going to announce, because it's massive integration required. So in fact, the big boys, I still remember, SAP said, give us 3 years to announce our roadmap, to really fully integrate the whole thing. So that's when I was like, shucks, we're going to somehow have to struggle through these 3 years, because there'll be so much uncertainty, there'll be so much bad press about the smaller player, they're going to disappear. And the effect was real, because first thing that hit us was our partners. Because every company out there who were previously our partners, I'm sure they also partner up SAP, Microsoft, Oracle, one of the rest, the big players. So of course the big players are going to go to them and say, hey, I got a full stack now. Why do you still need this to know, Singapore company trying to sell you just one little piece? So in fact, we even have tenders where the big boys came in and said, will you buy my database middleware, I'll give you the BI for free. Or I buy my hardware this, and then I'll give you this piece for free. So the competition totally changed. And back then, we had about 60% of our market overseas, about 40% here, because we were chasing after the big boys and all that. And when this happened, we were badly hit from the overseas market, because a lot of customers start to think about, I must consolidate, rationalize all the vendors I have, especially the market is consolidating. So of course, we were the dangling one. Why do we have this piece here? Oracle has it, IBM has that, Microsoft's developing it. So we're the easiest for them to drop. So yes, our overseas market suddenly took a big tumble, both from partners as well as customers. And in fact, right after that is the subprime and all that worse, because even more companies decided, I better talk to just local companies, everyone look inward. And so that was when I learned another lesson. We decided that we better have stronger base somewhere, especially we only have ourselves to rely on. So we better dig a deeper root in Singapore. Now, of course, we know Singapore market is small, but are there areas that Singapore is unique that would give us that unfair competitive advantage against other players out there? So when we thought through that, we thought, okay, of course, we are strong in our financial, our F&B market is not bad. Of course, at that time, the idea of smart nation starting to come about. So we thought, okay, maybe we should dig our foot in and start developing the area of smart nation. It's still about analytics. Of course, it's broader, but we can add the other pieces in. And so, but then there's a big challenge. All the while, those years, we have always been providing products. So the idea is, we are behind the scene. We give to this partner, the SI company, for example. They're going to build something for the end customer. And only when they have problem using our product, then they'll send in the request. Can you solve this particular problem for me? Yeah, so for our standard operating procedures, no news is good news. We just collect the money and no need to provide any support. Even when the support is the pigeonhole problem. Okay, you need to solve this, let me get it. Why the font size turned out to be not so right? Okay, we solved that problem. But we have zero idea how our customers actually use the software. So when we talk about smart nation, it's no more just, hey, here's a tool. People look for a solution. So that actually is quite a challenge to switch from a product company doing R&D at the back room, and now you have to talk to the customer, and they're going to show us that, your product's not bad, but I can't visualize what it is. Can you show me a proof of concept? Can you do something to, help them understand what's the value proposition and all that? So, of course, that's just first part of the problem. After that, can we deliver the whole system? It's not just our product anymore. We had to put in the database, and put it as a host on the cloud. You had to understand all these other things inside there. So that itself is quite a challenge. And fortunately, I think so far we did quite well. We managed to deliver about 6 or 7 projects now, and starting to get some recognition in the market. And as Chuck mentioned earlier, from finances point of view, Enterprise 50 Award is actually looking at a lot on your finances side. And so the change was that from just selling product, let's say a typical project, let's say $1 million, the product component for outside could be like, I think hardly even 100K. 100K maybe is what they bid. Eventually it comes to use actually delivering, they say, no, 50K good enough maybe. So only cut until a little bit left. And we have no control because we are not involved in the development cycle. But now if we are more involved in the cycle, wait, you must have this, you must have that. In fact, we even gather requirements, so we control it. And so our pie gets bigger, the pull-through of our sales. So basically, we double our sales within that 1 year, while we are also growing in our knowledge about how to do these projects development. Of course, we have to hire new people, set up a new team. Then these are challenges in the company we have to face. Then people say, hey, why they like different team? The internal cultures have to change, priorities have to change. But fortunately, I think so far it's been 2 years now that we made that transition. And so that gave us a good revenue, top line, bottom line. And so that's the reason why we end up with Enterprise 50 Award. And so in fact, in the last 2-3 years, we have been approached by a few companies offering to do some M&A. So it's an exciting milestone we are at. But I think looking ahead, we had another big transformation. But since we have been through so many, I think it's fine. We know how to handle it. So in summary, if you are today something new, I know all of you are entrepreneurs here. I think if you don't want to spend 20 over years to learn like what we have gone through, I think it's very important for you to get someone you can trust, someone who has been there, done that. For example, we have Chuck over here. Someone who can give you a head start and also look ahead to know, hey, is this path you're going, is it going to go down, is it going to come up, are there new areas you can look at? So I think it's a good choice to be an entrepreneur. I don't regret a single time I ever had been in this job. I think it's super exciting. We can try different things. Compared to when I was in the R&D area, not that that's bad. It's just, I think, different makeup of a person. Like we develop something wonderful, we think, hey, this one should be, the future Windows or the future whatever, but we have no way to see it happen. We just kind of, okay, who wants to be our partner? We gave it to the partner. After that, don't know what happened. So we had a chance of taking our own money and throw it, even if you sink in the ocean, at least you hear a boom, you got some feedback come back. Last time I do a lot of things, you don't know what happened. It's quite interesting. When we finish the project back when we were doing R&D, then they say, oh, you finished? Good. Please fill in this paper, this form. It's called PhD. Post, what's the H? History or something like that. Basically to wrap up the project, file it, and then, go start another project. So it's like, what happened to what we had developed? Put it on the shelf, see who wants to take it up. Nobody take it up, too bad. It's over. I think we got a bit tired of that cycle. It's nice, but then we can't see the feedback in the market. So in a way, we asked for it ourselves. So we went out and tried. So in fact, I like the coin idea. The concept back then we had was that, we may not have a lot of money, but if I can start a sustainable business, which I think we had, and then every now and then I can put a little coin, like jackpot, see, nothing come out, too bad. But if you do it often enough, you never know. Maybe one of these days, a jackpot may come. Okay. So with that, I wrap up my sharing and open for any discussion.
The question I have, Shih Hor, right, is that when we all started the companies in the 90s, right, we all didn't have the idea of raising fund, right, because it's just getting it done, solve the problem, and the business will come, right. But then you see that in the late 90s, everyone is fundraising. I mean, right, like you said, right, even a hamburger online will get funding, right? Okay. Why didn't you go for funding? Or is there a reluctance, or is it because of timing, that you guys didn't really want to go into this here?
Okay. I think it's, maybe I'll say it's just more baggage problem. We came with our own baggage after developing our company, growing company for so long. So it's a bit like, there was a company who actually wanted to invest in our company during the dot-com period, but probably things didn't turn out well. In fact, they end up owing us money, so we're okay, we take half, then okay, clear it off. I think we were like comfortable to some extent what we were doing. Yes, we couldn't see the big hockey stick kind of growth. So I think on hindsight, maybe back to my earlier point, if I had a mentor that would give me a run through, hey, yeah, you can continue like this, but maybe you should think of the other options. So like right now, I'm going to arrange for two teams to sign up for accelerator program, because I feel that we have gone through long enough of taking our time, develop something. At the end of it, the 5 years getting shorter on the 5-year cycle. So, like for example, accelerator program now we have about 3 months, 6 months. Make sure everything is compressed, and let's see whether this team and ideas is going to cut it or not. And if not, well, we'll do something else. So I'm going to explore. I don't know whether that's a good choice or not, but I think it sounds like a good, at least it's improvement from what we have gone through in that sense.
I think, Shih, your organization and your tenacity for good technology, I think actually helped you guys sustain over the last 2 decades. I mean, if you remember, right, when I ran my company, we bought some software from you guys,
yes,
right?
We were partners, customers.
Right. So instead of redeveloping it on our own, right, we just paid this guy good money, right, and took some of the source code, and then we adapted it, right? It saved us probably 6 months of development, and that was actually a lot, in my opinion, a lot more than what it was worth when we paid, from that perspective. Because time actually is more critical than actually development. I mean, we started off by saying that, everybody wants to develop themselves because they got an idea from you guys, right? But the reality is that more so now than in the past, right?
Yes.
Time is an issue,
yeah,
right? So therefore, buying the technology from you guys actually got us to leap ahead,
right,
in terms of where we were, in terms of the evolution of our company, right, at that particular point in time.
Yes.
So I think I certainly attest to the type of technology you guys built, right, which is a lot more, I would say, robust than many of the people during our time now, in terms of building technology, right?
Yeah. I think we are quite fortunate to have a super programmer as part of our core team, and we always joke about him. He drinks Java in the morning, coffee, right? So and afternoon, and then he just have 1 meal a day, read 4 books a week. So very hard to find people like that. So we happen to have that. But I think it can also be a double-edged sword, as what Chuck is mentioning. A guru like this, just like the other two we saw, they'll do everything themselves. I don't need to buy. Yeah. So that's why sometimes I have to kind of like set up a separate team. So this new team, these 2 teams that I mentioned just now that goes to the excellent program, it'd be younger people, they won't have this idea they can do everything. We have to leverage, and definitely I think, especially I mentioned about open source. In fact, while we were so-called victims of open source, now we are exploited of open source. We're making use of it all the time in all our product. Of course, we also make sure we are not held ransom by some black box that we don't know how to operate. So whatever we pick, we make sure we understand how it works. If need be, yes, we can tweak it. We can even develop a version that suits better, since we have this super programmer. So it's not a problem for us to handle that. But yes, definitely leveraging not just on the IP, the capability. In fact, I think we should leverage on funds from other people and resources like going to market. I still remember back then we wanted to go after the world market. I was traveling literally like 80 to 90%. So I'll come back on Friday, put my clothes aside, take a new set of clothes, fly off by evening, and you can go around like that. I don't recommend it anymore. And I definitely think leveraging is very important. So even for this phase, what we are doing for Smart Nations, I'm talking to companies who can already have inroads in many other countries, so that if we can partner with them, yeah, we might get a smaller cut, but hey, the returns of immediate or direct entry to many other markets is something that we can't build it ourselves organically.
any questions from you guys?
Just curious about, you're talking about mentors and all these other things you said that you didn't have. Is it a case of at that time you were in the space to look for mentors, or was it more, that
Okay, so you have to backtrack 20 years. Back then, don't have blog, don't have WhatsApp, don't have, I think internet also don't have that time at the early stage. So it's not easy to build a network. Now your network is in the thousands maybe of people that you can tap on. Back then it's very small, and all depends on newspaper. Yes, I remember there was one person I wish, he could be my mentor. Coleman Wee back then was famous, but he's a big shot, I don't know him, I don't know how to connect with him. So I think it was difficult. I would say it's not easy. But Chuck managed to get some. But
I was lucky. I got busy. Right?
It
was really very good. And actually that inspired me to actually do what we're doing today, because I felt that at that particular point in time, right, 20 years ago, right, that whoever that actually understand what we're talking about are probably our competitors. Right? So you can't really share with them, right? Whereas today, there are enough mentors around, I think, that you'll be able to say that, okay, if I tell you my secret, right, it would not go out immediately, right? So I think that is more at that particular point in time. So I think over the last 10 years, I felt that the mentors scene has changed quite drastically, right? Thanks to some of the schemes that the government has, right, to actually flush out a lot of mentors. Now, flushing out mentors also mean that they are good and bad mentors, right? So you got to be discerning who you think would be a good mentor.
Yeah, and I think mentor, in my personal view, doesn't have to be like, wow, they are so high up there, I have done a bit of mentoring, but I kept telling them, hey, I'm still learning. We are just going through journey together. Yeah, maybe I'm 5 steps ahead of you, but it's a matter of just sharing with each other. And as Charles mentioned, the market now is so varied, so broad. No one can say, I want to choke everything. So to me, seeing my so-called mentee success itself is a reward. I think I enjoy that process. I wish I had more time to do that. Not yet. I still have to handle out my own things. But as then when there's opportunity, I'd love to maybe give back to the community in some ways. So I think there's so many new opportunities today. Even one thing I like to do with my partner is towards the end of the year, coming soon, when things slow down a bit, we say, hey, let's kick back and just think of crazy ideas that we could have done, and maybe we'll do it. So we normally come up with a few, then we shoot each other down. Maybe there are 1 or 2. These are the ones I'm going to put through the accelerator program and see whether this idea is really good or not. So, and of course I welcome partners. Some of this I'm going to bring others who have the domain skills, who have some different area to contribute. Let's do it together. I think the pie is huge these days.
I think on the question of mentor, right, I think it's also good at the start to have several mentors, right? But it also have a bit of issue because some mentor may not agree with each other, right? So I think in your mind, you should have a mentor specifically for each area, right? So for example, you could have a mentor for technology, you could have a mentor for finance, a mentor for whatever, right? The sphere will overlap, then you decide, right? To me, if you have a good mentor, the mentor don't really care that you guys have 1 mentor or 4 mentors, right? They provide the mentorship, right, based on the fact that they think they can help, right? And it should be 2 ways, right? There's not always the time where mentorship is 1 way. Usually it's 2, like you said. All of us are also learning, right? There are things that we don't know, right? As mentor or as mentee, we can actually tell our mentor whatever it would be, and the good mentors actually accepts it, right? He will never say, oh, your idea is crap, and so on. And I guess that's where a test is, whether you have a good mentor.
Yeah, definitely. I think another reasons I would say why we didn't end up raising funds, I think there's more because I came from a technical background. So when it comes to keeping balance between credit, debit, it's not my cup of tea. So whenever I talk to any investors, they'll come and give me your 5-year plan, 3-year plan. Yeah, I can do up something, but normally cannot balance properly. Then they question me, what is this thing? Sorry, I don't know. So that kind of created a bit of barrier. So I don't know what's the solution. Of course, I can go and take a course and learn something, which again today there are a lot more options than back then. Back then I don't know where to go and attend. Today there are plenty of them. So yeah, I'm looking at some of them, especially with the enterprise safety. They say, oh, you better get your finances in place. So and they say there's this program very good for companies who hopefully someday go listing. Why not structure your finance properly? Okay, I'm going to go through those courses a bit later, 20 years later. She had done that, when I first started out. So I think another aspect, maybe when in your core team, okay, you have a mentor, normally will help because they kind of investor background, they know the finances quite well. If not, this could be a sore point. As you grow your company, you want to tap more funds, then you don't know how to approach the finance people. So I think do think about it. If it's something that you might want to watch out, either go attend a course or get a mentor like Chuck, who knows the finance side very well. Yeah. No, I should go. No, technical side, yes, I'll be happy to discuss more with you. Finance side, I'm still learning stage. Yeah.
I was thinking about this in terms of, sorry, Karen, you first.
Okay, thanks for sharing. So when it comes to this, say the exit opportunity like M&A, right? So what is the consideration? You mentioned that there's actually at one point there's M&A opportunity.
Yeah.
So why didn't you exit, or what's the consideration back then?
Okay. Actually, it's kind of terrible, but the main reason is they ask me those questions. Give me your 3 years plan, 5 years plan. I don't have 3 years, 5 year plan. So I have to go back. Wait. I go and do some research how to do it. Then look for help. Then there was year-end period, nobody is available. Then by the time I come back, I think they're like, what happened? Where are you? But it's okay. Could be new ones coming up. We are talking to some new ones now. So I think it's more I wasn't prepared. I think this is always a problem. In good times, you think you're okay. So take it easy. People kind of thought, okay, when I have time, I'll think about it. But when the bad times, too late. Nobody wants you already. So I think this time around, I hope I'm more prepared. M&A, I think, is a good way either to exit or to move to the next league. You can play at a bigger game. So I'm not necessarily looking for exit and go do fishing. I think I'll be bored to death. So I'm definitely looking more how we can move our company to the next league. So leveraging on bigger players, resources, and so on. So I hope next time if I get to talk again, I can share with you how I went through the climbing to the next league.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I was going to ask you about this, about that vision for the next step, because I think that's a problem for a lot of people. You don't know that there's a next step, or you can't see where the next step is going to be, so you don't aim for that. So you get to the top and you're there, right? So how do you look for that next step?
Yeah, so I think it depends on your time horizon. If your next step is say for 6 months this year, I think most of us will have a good feel of what we want to push for. But yes, if you say give me your 3-year, 5-year plan, normally those are a bit fluffy. So because trends change in no time, or suddenly big player came in, you don't want to go head on and get crushed. So I think definitely from that's why I said every year you must evaluate, look at are we doing the good thing, right thing, and are people going to pay us, continue to pay us? If not, we better make some adjustments. So I think at a more micro level, yes, I think I'm very clear where our company next should be. Like earlier I mentioned, we must transit to be able to do a full solution rather than just selling a small tool in there. So those are all very deliberate in terms of pushing for it, hiring the people, bidding for the project, even though track record a bit weak, but yeah, there are ways to leverage to get there. Long-term vision, I think that one probably comes a bit maybe from the root of passion. Like I like a particular area, so far I think this analytic market that we're in is certainly a very rewarding, not just from money point of view, but also from achievement, satisfaction. Hey, we can produce all these new things that can really help people. I think that aspect will always be part of our roadmap or our future vision.
I think from the vision standpoint, my view is that the more people you talk to, the more exposed you are, right? The better it would be for yourself, right? For example, you can imagine imagine now that you're involved in all the societies and all the associations, you get many touch points.
Yes.
And that also gives you an influence on where you think the position is, right? And that actually helped me, right, to actually think about going to the future,
Yes, I think that is a very valid point, because in a way these are the sounding board. These are the reality checks. In what we imagine is always wonderful, beautiful, but reality speaks. So, and the only way to hit the reality is to network with people. I find that that's very useful. In fact, backtrack a bit on my story earlier. Those days when I was traveling around the world, I wasn't involved in all these societies because I felt like we are going places on our own, so why need to listen to people? So when I came back, when that big change happened, came back to dig our root in Singapore, I also made it a point to be more involved in different communities. So of course SCS, we're all in the council together. Upstairs, SITF, I'm so involved there. And yes, that has given me, number one, invaluable feedback. Once you know, they're doing this, they're doing that, you can also assess, do you want to go head on with them, or maybe you should partner with them, right? And I think, secondly is, like partnerships. Just suddenly, I got a lot of options. Like what Chuck was saying earlier, not everything you can develop yourselves. In fact, I was quite intrigued by news I read that WhatsApp, you do all the chatting, but they cannot talk. The talk part is actually from third party. They pay to know how many $1 million. So even for a company as big, successful as them, they didn't try to do everything themselves. They leverage off other companies who can do better. So all the more.
They have 19 billion. They can spare anyone.
Yeah, they could have built their own team and do all that, but they chose to actually license from this third party.
Any questions for Lau Shih Hor?
I have one. When you started this with analytics, right?
Yeah.
You're ahead of the market, and there was a lot of evangelizing and educational.
Yes.
And then now it's become mainstream. We just had a FinTech festival, the conference, and Ravi Menon talked a lot about analytics. Everything is around smart nation, smart financial centers, smart regulation, everything, right? And then, so now that it's become mainstream, how do you stay ahead?
Very good question. I still remember the beginning part. I went to a lot of meetings, and the guys openly said, "This is my agenda for you. Tell me what's the difference between BS and BA." Yeah, BA, business analytics, and what is BS? Because there's so much of this hype going around there. And you're right, within that time until now, suddenly, less than 5 years, wow, it went mainstream and things all changed. So yes, I think fortunate for us, right from beginning, as I mentioned a bit earlier, we decided to find what is unique for Singapore that we can anchor on. Right? So you're right, there's financial analytics. Now, before FinTech became very popular, now it's a very big buzzword. I thought about FinTech, I thought about financial analytics. That was a term. It's about 2-3 years ago. And I decided not to go into that. Even though Singapore is well known for it, maybe it's my mistake. So, but because I thought, there are too many people doing it already. And yes, Singapore is quite advanced, but then maybe it's my background. I don't have the finance background, so I decided not to touch that. So in a way, you also need to evaluate what you are back to, what you're good at doing and what people are willing to pay for what you're good at. Hopefully, there's a perfect match. So now there's a third aspect to it is opportunity, right? What happens? Now, in what happened during this period, I mentioned Smart Nation. To be very exact, we go one level deeper. Is we actually built up good track record in the area of transportation. So it happened that LTA, we got a lot of public transport issues, so LTA got a big budget, so they start wanting to do some new things, see whether they can solve problem, current or future. So that gave us opportunities in Singapore to bid for those projects, do something, now I've got some track record. So we built up quite a few good projects in this area, video analytics, predictive, looking at autonomous vehicle, how to analyze where they go, what they do. So that in a way became opportunistic. So we also have to, again, back to the problem of we don't have big funding, so we have to also kind of flow along with the opportunity. So ended up, we do a lot of transportation related. More recently, we started looking into the other pillar, which is on the leisure side. So anyway, if you look at Singapore Smart Nation, there are a few anchor agencies. Transportation, LTA. If you go into leisure, tourism, all this under Singapore Tourism Board. Earlier this year, they announced they got $700 million to spend, of course. So a lot of this will be the smart whatever tourism-related projects. So yeah, we're involved in bidding for 4 of their projects. So maybe next year, I might have some track record to share on the leisure tourism side. Fintech came out, I would say, within the last 1-2 years. Suddenly, wow, it's the next big thing. Well, one of again opportunity we had was to get involved with financial data from companies. You know, all of you register your company, you file with ACRA. We are one of the 3 licensees of ACRA's data. So I have full data of all of you plus whoever ever filed with ACRA for the last 120 years. Since then, they started collecting data. So I have all this financial data. So yes, I think there's an opportunity for us to try something in the fintech. I must say we are latecomer. Some of you maybe are way ahead of us. So one of my accelerator team, one of them is on the fintech area. The other one is in the IoT area. So yes, our mothership is doing the business analytic, you know, but that's why just now talk about new ideas. We must also try some new ideas and not be locked into just one area.
I have one question. You guys came in on the thought that you had something very new, very different. What happens if you're talking to a company who started and you're actually at the bottom rung? We're going to be competing against literally everyone. For example, my company, we're going to be competing with, say, for example, all the big banks.
Wow.
So it's going to be a very tough market. How would you advise someone who's starting up in line on a field that's extremely top-heavy, and it's in a field that is extremely messy, because so many different companies that advertise, you can do this, you can make X amount, you can do that, you can make learn this, pay us X amount, we'll give you a black box, pay this. How are you going to compete in the market and get into it? But there's one advantage in this particular market. If you do well enough in it, in the sense that money is out there, you don't necessarily need to compete. By yourself, by your method, you're able to make comments from. Who are the mentors for someone like myself who would be approaching to find
Yeah, so in fact, you answer what I wanted to share with you. First step is get a mentor who understands your industry well enough. Connected people who can give you a good feel that maybe don't try, or maybe yes, if you partner with this particular party, you know, increase your profile. So definitely on our own is we are nobody. But if you're part of this whoever, then you might stand a very good chance, right? So, but this one only someone in your domain can help you specifically how to make that happen. So finance side, he knows all the bank chiefs and all that, so I'm used to okay lah.
Or retired. Alright, any other questions for Shih Hor? I mean, you know, thanks for coming. We are actually closing down this session for the year in 2 weeks' time, right? So next week is most likely going to be the last week. I've got another experience sharing, right? From this time a startup and probably a software startup as well next week. The following week, which is the 14th of December, we're going to have a bigger party, hopefully targeting the bulk of all you guys, right? You'll be held in the other room at 5 o'clock, right? And I managed to get 2 or 3 speakers. One would be from the Infocom security, so it's either I think KPMG or one of the consulting talking about security in the security space. The other one is actually I'm trying to get a individual from PDPC, right? The Privacy Personal Data Privacy Council, right? To talk about really privacy for startup, right? And I'll get another speaker to talk about data privacy and data privacy economy, and then after that we will have a forum or a discussion, right? Where they could answer questions from you guys, right? So instead of having it at 12 o'clock, we're having it at 5 to about 6 or 7, right? And then we have more than pizza. We will get some real food, right? 14th of December, that's right. So spread the news. it will be at the meeting point instead of here, because here can't cater for more than 50 people. We hope to get about 100 odd people, right? And we will then, after that, stop for the year, right? And we will come back next year. Next year, I'm also thinking whether should I change the format, meaning that should we do it, virtually, right? A few weeks, and then meet physically 1 week or 2 weeks, The thing about this is that it's very easy to remember. Every Wednesday it happens, right? So you don't have to think about which Wednesday should I come, and so on, right? So if you're free on Wednesday, you can come, right? But the problem is also sometimes, I get good speakers and they are like maybe 5 of you guys in, right? And I also feel bad for the speaker who come in and there's a few people in the crowd. But actually today we have 100 and odd viewing online,
Wow.
right? So we actually do have quite a number viewing online, and partly the number dropped because we went online. Right, so everybody just click through and view, right?
Not a bad thing, yeah.
It's not a bad thing. So that's why my thinking is whether should next year rethink this a bit, right? So I'm open, right? We have created this session for all you guys, right? Let me know, right? What you guys think is a good mechanism, right? To actually continue this. If it's not useful, we do something else, right? I mean, more importantly, that what we're doing is useful for people who attend, right? Sometimes my connection is also getting tired because I've got to call every week. Hey, cannot. And Shih Hor, actually this week we have some other speaker, but unfortunately there have been a death in the family. He couldn't come, right? So suddenly everybody says I can't come this week. And thank you very much, Shih Hor. Last minute on Monday, I say, can you come and share? And without saying anything, she all say yes first, not knowing what the time is, right? And really appreciate you coming to share,
Yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't matter, how many people. To me, it's still another good connection we make. As I say, it's a learning process. I'm sure there are specialized area you are in that I must learn from you, right? So I think it's no problem. Thanks a lot for.
Thank you, Shih Hor. Right, I think, thank you. Let's give Shih Hor pizza is ready, right? So we'll have pizza now. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.